Hello, my name is Jaron Thompson, you're watching a channel called Super Papa John, and today we're talking about Aero GPX on Steam. So Aero GPX just came out. By the time this video comes out, I would say it's probably been out for about 2-3 weeks. And what Aero GPX is trying to capture is the essence of F-Zero. Nintendo's F-Zero has been one of those franchises that is held in very high regard. It's all about fast racing, anti-gravity, flinging around, 30 people races, this grand spectacle of a racing game. They're also known for being very difficult. Aero GPX is attempting to take what those games did. You know, we haven't got a real F-Zero GX style game since F-Zero GX, so it's been about 20 years. They're trying to capture that again. And according to my knowledge, this is really a solo dev project. I know the music is done by someone else, but Aero GPX is fantastic. The best compliment I think I can give it is I'm a big F-Zero fan. I've played all of them. I love F-Zero a lot. And the best compliment I can give it is I booted up the game. I guess I backed it on Kickstarter. I guess I don't know if I need to disclaim that, but I got the code that, hey, game's out in early access right now. Go ahead and play it. And so I booted up on my PC, plugged in my Xbox Elite controller, and, you know, I just played it. And, you know, it felt natural to me. As an F-Zero player, I kind of got the minutia of how it's kind of a mixture between X and GX. It controls more like X than I would say GX does. And I had a pretty good time. It was pretty pick up and play, and I was in it. I'm gonna get out there and say I love this game. I think it's great. It's an early access, so it's not finished yet, so this isn't like a complete review. But this is I recommend it. Go ahead and buy it. You can turn the video off now. Play yourself some Aero GPX. If you want to stay though, I think we really need to not understate how crazy it is that this game actually exists. So let's go through the history of F-Zero a bit and talk about how, like, this is kind of wild. So for the most part, Aero GPX is F-Zero X and F-Zero GX on the N64 and GameCube respectively. However, I think we need to talk a little bit about F-Zero 1. So really the three takeaways of F-Zero 1 on Super Nintendo. I think it's still a really good game. I really like F-Zero on Super Nintendo. I think it might be my favorite racing game on Super Nintendo. Honestly, I like it more than I like Super Mario Kart. F-Zero on Super Nintendo, there's really three things that stand out to me with F-Zero on Super Nintendo. The controls are really tight, and this is kind of goes with sets the stage for all of the F-Zero games. The controls are tight, the speed is fast, the game is hard and punishing, but rewarding, and it's 3D. I guess that's 4 things. You know, I can't count. And probably the biggest compliment you can give to F-Zero on Super Nintendo is that John Carmack and John Romero, like, famously have said that one of their biggest inspirations for Doom was playing original F-Zero. Like, they played a lot of F-Zero while they were making Doom. And, like, that's one reason why Doom Guy is so fast. And Doom is, like, one of the most important games ever made. And, in my opinion, one of the best games ever made. Original Doom, 1993 Doom, is, to this day, so good. Like, they just re-released it, replayed through all of Doom 1, and yeah, that game's still so good, and you can really see the pedigree of F-Zero inside of Doom. I mean, just look at them side by side. They do look similar, and they both control real fast, and that just speaks to me. I just like going fast, man. But truly, when we're talking about Aero GPX, we're talking about the two F-Zero games people usually talk or care about. In a lot of people's brains, there's really only 2 F-Zero games, and that's F-Zero X and F-Zero GX. F-Zero X really set the stage for what F-Zero is today. It invented the boost mechanic. In original F-Zero, you just got like the super booster or something like that, and you just got a boost every lap. While F-Zero X invented you have your health and you have your boost, and they're the same health bar. And you have this push and pull game essence of you're either gonna boost or you're gonna die. And the thing about F-Zero as opposed to, say, Mario Kart or any kind of arcade racers is once you die, you die. You have to start the whole race over. You either run out of health or you fall off the map, you die, game over, restart it again. F-Zero X, amazing vibe. You turn on the game, you get hit with the like crazy just guitar. The soundtrack's fantastic. X. That is the hardest opening to any video game. Is just that right there. Like the menu is like hilarious that Nintendo like did this. It's just like girls with boobs holding up signs. It's just like, oh, it's wild. F-Zero X, it's all about speed. It's all about speed in F-Zero X. You kind of got this traction sliding mechanic, and I would say Aero GPX controls more like F-Zero X in terms of how the sliding and stuff works. F-Zero X, one of the only games on N64 to run at 60 FPS, so it's a good one in my book. But then we get to F-Zero GX, which is the best to ever do it. In my opinion, it's probably my favorite racing game of all time. I go back and forth whether I like F-Zero GX or Outrun 2 more, but this is the big three got together. I mean, it's crazy this game exists. We got the big three, and I don't mean Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox. I mean Nintendo, Sega, and Namco. The OGs, man. The guys who were there from the beginning got together. I mean, each one of these companies has made legendary racing games. I mean, we're talking about Ridge Racer. We're talking about Mario Kart. We're talking about Outrun. I mean, you get Nintendo, Sega, Namco together to make a racing game. I mean, it's the best to ever do it. F-Zero GX got better graphics, the speed is insane, it's just a fast, high-octane kind of video game. The tracks are kind of just spectacles to look at. It's got a story mode, the story mode's ridiculous, but the overglaring issue with F-Zero X, or F-Zero GX, I mean, is that it's so in-depth and so difficult that it basically turns most casual players off of it immediately. Like, I think F-Zero GX, like, if we take budget to difficulty, you know, I'm not talking about some random Toho game or some random game, you know, that you can find that's like, oh, this game is the hardest game ever made. Like, I think if you take AAA video game, I think F-Zero GX is the hardest video game ever made. This game is insane what they want you to do. Once you hear the words and understand what the words momentum throttling or shift boosting means, you're in too deep. And you need to know what they mean, though, if you're gonna beat this game on the hardest difficulty. Like, it's insane, which is the main appeal. The big appeal to it is so hard. And you do need to play it for so long to actually, like, get somewhere in this game that it has lasted so long and lived in this high grandeur of F-Zero GX being one of the greatest games of all time. Chapter 5 of the story mode has been, like, my white whale for so long. I have wanted to beat that level for, like, more than 10 years. I've been trying to beat that level on the hardest difficulty. I would come home from junior high school and say, today's the day I'm gonna do it. I would grind it out for like 30 minutes to an hour, not do it, give up, come back in the next few months, and I've done that throughout most of my life. And when recording footage for F-Zero GX, I actually did it. I finally beat it. I didn't have my mic on, so you don't get my reaction, but it was pretty much, like, it wasn't that good of a reaction. It was literally, I went, I did it? I was like, I did it? What? Because I clipped through the wall, and you have 40 seconds to beat the level, but I did it in like 40 seconds and like 300 milliseconds or something like that. Like, it was insane, but I beat it, so I just want to show that off.
You're the famous Falcon.
We have F-Zero 99 now, which I really like, and it's really cool, but we're not going to talk about it for this video, because that's just out of the scope. But you have those 3 F-Zero games, the 3 console ones, and then 20 years of nothing. Like, there's just nothing. No F-Zero anymore. Like, Nintendo Land's not gonna cut it. That's not F-Zero. And you know, you had some, like, F-Zero adjacent games. You had, like, Wipeout had a few games, but Wipeout's never really been F-Zero. It's kind of been its own thing. The closest thing we really ever got was the sequel to Fast Racing on Wii, which was Fast Racing Neo on Wii U, and then which got a remake on Switch, but they're the same game. But Fast Racing Neo on Wii U, it's the closest thing I think we've really ever gotten to another F-Zero. And I don't really like Fast Racing Neo for a lot of reasons, and we can really compare and contrast Aero GPX and Fast Racing Neo and see why Aero GPX does so good at succeeding while Fast Racing Neo kind of doesn't. Fast Racing Neo tries this thing where it's like Ikaruga in a racing game. That's the gimmick. You know, everything needs a gimmick, and so you switch back and forth between blue and orange to get your boosts. You pick up boost on your way in like these balls, and that allows you to boost, but you don't get like a single boost. You have to hold down boost. But the biggest problem with the game is, one, it doesn't control very well. You're like a boat. You're like literally a boat. I don't like the way you feel. I think you're too large of a vehicle for what it's trying to do. There is no permadeath in this one. In Fast Racing Neo, there's no permadeath. You just get like a burnout style crash, and then you just come back. And a lot of things just kill you. You have no help. You just explode all the time. I think the graphics are really nice. I think the stages are cool. And then another sin it commits, really the biggest sin I think Fast Racing Neo commits, is that the motion blur is too much. Once you hit a certain speed, you cannot tell what the heck is going on. The whole screen just smears, and you're most likely gonna crash. And so, we had 20 years of really no one competing with F-Zero GX until this month, when Aero GPX launched. And I just think we shouldn't understate that, like, holy crap, somebody did it. Like, this game exists. Somebody finally did it, and it's good. Like, they did it. It captures the essence of F-Zero. The first thing I'd like to praise about Aero GPX is it has a tutorial. Most of the F-Zero games don't have that. And so it has a tutorial that really runs you through the game, which I think is just nice for a casual user. And the career mode's just super nice. I love the career mode. It gives you a really good way to learn the levels without just playing the Grand Prix, which has, you know, the permadeath and everything. You just get a chance to learn the stuff. It gives you a chance to unlock the characters, kind of just mess around with stuff. Play as different vehicles. I think it gives you a really good taste of how the game works without just throwing you into the fire like F-Zero does. So I really enjoy the career mode. It's not really a story mode, but I don't really think it needs to be. No one really cares about the story of F-Zero that much. I mean, it's kind of funny, I guess, but those cutscenes are kind of fun, but it doesn't need that. I really like the career mode. I think it's a good choice and a great way to learn in a racing game that I haven't really seen really any other racing games attempt something like that, so I really enjoy it. One of the mechanics that makes Aero GPX different from F-Zero is that your boost and health meter are 2 different meters. Well, in F-Zero, they're 1 meter. That's kind of the push and pull of F-Zero. They're 2 different meters, which that was kind of the biggest growing pain for me, honestly, getting used to this game, is that I could just boost a ton and not really worry about it. Like, this game wants you to boost. It wants you to go fast. And so it really taught me to just boost as much as possible. I was saying to myself, boosts per lap. You gotta get the most boosts per lap to be able to have 0 boost by the time I get to the other boost panel, so I can fill it all up again and get the most boost. And so that kind of gives you a different feel to the game, as it's just really go as fast as possible. Another mechanic that's new to this game is kind of the flying mechanic. While you can fly in other F-Zero games, it's never been quite like this, where you have like an airstream that you fly through, almost kind of like Sonic Riders, and then you can jump out of it, and there's a spin mechanic where you spin the vehicle and it builds up momentum and speed, so when you land, you go even faster. And that really creates some really cool movement and tech where there's like a half pipe level where you can just keep throwing yourself off the half pipe, building up speed with the spin and then landing, and you can just build up a ton of speed. That's one of my favorite levels I've played so far. I think I really like the flight vehicles. There's 5 classes of vehicles in this game. You have like the all-around vehicles. You have speed, flight, combat, and sliding. For the most part, I liked the flight the most just because I think it's fun, even though it's kind of situational. I thought the speed characters were too fast, not good enough. I was hitting walls like crazy with them. I couldn't really figure out the sliding characters, but I also am bad at sliding F-Zero X. So I bet if you understood how it worked in that game, you probably feel pretty good with it. The all-around characters were fine, but I didn't think they were fast enough. And the combat characters were cool, but I didn't really see their purpose quite yet. As I said, this game's in early access. It's not finished. You only have 3. You have 3 of the 5 cups. A lot of characters are missing. But not to say the game's perfect. I do have a few gripes. Nothing too big, but I do have a few gripes I have with the game. Things I think could be improved. One of the things is there is no life system in the game. I would like a hardcore mode, maybe, where you get to play through the Grand Prix with lives. Because in F-Zero X and F-Zero GX, you have like 4 lives to complete the Grand Prix, and if you die too many times, you have to restart. Well, in this game, you can just hit start, restart anytime you want, and every time you die, you have to start the level over again, but there's no penalty for dying over and over again, and I felt myself just restarting a lot. And I mean, you don't have to do that. You can just tell yourself not to, and you can play that way. I mean, you can make up lives in your head if you want, but I think a hardcore mode with lives would be cool. It'd also give you a reason to kill people, because in F-Zero, if you kill 5 people, you get a 1-up, and so give you kind of a reason to kill people, because you can kill people in F-Zero, and you can kill people in this game, and it kind of brings me into my next point, which I would like a rival system. In F-Zero X and F-Zero GX, one of the unique things about it is the rival system, where to win a Grand Prix, you don't actually have to get first place every time, or like really high up, as long as you kill your rival, which your rival would be, if you're in first place, who's ever in second place, or if you're in second place, who's ever in first place, and, you know, wherever you sit on the leaderboard. Where if you just kill everybody who's close to you on the leaderboard, who's your rival, marked on the map as your rival, then you don't really need to worry about getting first place every time, because you just kill your rival and you're good to go, that they get 0 for the map, and say you just get a good enough position that you can still stay up in the total Grand Prix. Because you can do that in this game, it just doesn't tell you who your rival is, and like I would try to make a mental note of who my rival was, but you know, you have 30 people on the map, and I don't know these characters and cars super well, so it would be nice if maybe a rival system would be implemented. Those are really the only few complaints I have. I encountered one glitch where for some reason NVIDIA Reflex doesn't stay on. You turn off the game and turn it back on, and NVIDIA Reflex turns off, but I didn't really even notice the difference with NVIDIA Reflex on and off. Honestly, I usually don't. Like, especially a game like this, first-person shooter, it's a little more apparent. However, Aero GPX, fantastic game. I think it's very commendable. Solo dev was able to pull this off. Like, it's insane this exists. The controls feel tight. The music and presentation, I think, is top-notch. I think it's got a good vibe. I'm excited to see what happens. So, you know, good enough, I decided to make this video. So that's what I got. So please like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. You know, I try to, like, wear a t-shirt that goes with what I'm talking about, and I don't have an F-Zero shirt or really any, like, racing game shirt, and so closest thing I had is, like, Dale Earnhardt NASCAR shirt, which, you know, F-Zero is a pun on, like, F1 racing, right? And it's not even that, but, you know, it's close enough. You know, I don't know if I'm gonna keep this, but I found, like, this album on the internet called, like, I Am the Intimidator, which, like, Dale Earnhardt was known as the Intimidator. That was his nickname, and, like, It's like a concept metal album about like the last day of Dale Earnhardt's life where he died in a NASCAR race. It's not very good, but it's like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. You should watch that music video. It's a heck of a time. You'll look at that and say, heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah, dude.